Oxytocin building activities. Matt Cook here with Heather Hallman. I want to talk about activities to build oxytocin. So what is oxytocin? Oxytocin is a hormone secreted in our brain, in our testes, and somewhat in our adrenals and some other parts of the body. It is connected with another hormone, by the way, called vasopressin, and it occurs when we're thirsty. Oxytocin is a hormone that creates a bond of love and trust with someone else. It could be any number of things, but oxytocin makes us feel really good. It makes us feel like we are happy and satisfied and that we love our lives and we love who we're with. That's what we're designed to feel like. The opposite of oxytocin, in my opinion, is really dopamine, because dopamine makes us want and feel dissatisfied all the time, like we never have enough.
God, dopamine. I just heard some experiments about dopamine that are like wild, where yes, dopamine doesn't ever leave you. Like the experiments were like on rats where they implanted electrodes into their brains and it hit the dopamine centers, and they wanted and they just never ever were satisfied, and they always just kept going after stimulus that was terrible for them, and it was bad. It was just bad news.
Right. Absolutely. Dopamine itself out of control is really bad news. That's a good way to put it.
It's important, right? But you don't want it to be out of control.
Yeah, you don't want it out of control at all. You have to have some to want to get up in the morning, but
Right.
not too much. So oxytocin is a hormone for men. It's a hormone of boners, also, which they don't tell you. But they've done these studies with rats and studies with people, and they show oxytocin really helps make them last a long time and make them very sturdy. And we're on a family-friendly channel here, so we're not going to get too much into that. But you really want to build oxytocin up, because when you increase your oxytocin, you're more satisfied with your life. You're happier, and it's really why we're
Much happier.
Yeah, so much happier. So there are activities that will increase oxytocin, and what I wanted to give you is 3 activities that increase oxytocin. And oxytocin is increased in certain activities, and one of those activities is going to be my favorite activity to talk about here, which would be naked cuddling. If you have somebody to do that with, the best thing. Any kind of bonding activities, just hugging, look into each other's eyes,
Holding hands, sitting next to each other on the couch with your thighs touching.
Exactly, not on the other side, opposite sides.
Right.
All of that really increases oxytocin.
Lately, my husband and I have been doing puzzles together, sitting next to each other, like doing a lot of touching. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's really it's lovely.
Sounds awesome. Yeah, sounds awesome. Yeah, and if you're in a physical relationship with somebody, then you want to have a lot of the act itself, but you want to have a lot of it lasting as long as possible, and the stuff before and afterwards being as lengthy as possible. You want to spend as much time as possible instead of a let's get it done kind of a thing. Oop, I did it. Let's go. We're done.
Yes.
The longer it all lasts, the whole thing, the more oxytocin is built. So that's really critical. Now, a lot of people watching are not, you may be watching and you're not in a relationship. You don't have anybody to do this with. So for you, if you don't have a partner, I suggest all kinds of things that can increase oxytocin. The best ones are going to be walking around in nature, because you feel good when you're walking around in nature. It increases oxytocin. One of my favorite studies, academics do studies sometimes because they can get paid for something that they just enjoy doing anyway.
Right.
And this was a study of the Japanese university where they went out in nature and they just walked around in nature.
They call it forest bathing in Japan.
Forest bathing?
Yes.
And I thought, well, that's kind of a fun study. I guess Shinrin Yoku, forest bathing, that's what they call it. You're right. Yeah. And they did physiological effects of nature therapy. They call it nature therapy. So there's a lot to it in Japan. One thing in Japan is they don't do a lot of touching and everything unless they're being intimate. As a culture, you don't see men and women kissing and hugging. You don't see that much in Japan. So maybe that's why nature bathing is sort of taking the place of that activity.
And I think if you are like if you have some self-awareness and you get out in nature and you like observe how you feel in your body, I think you can actually observe, like I can. If I am feeling really stressed and I go out in nature, I can observe kind of the stress levels ratcheting down, right, as I'm in nature. Whether that's, sometimes I go and lay in my local park that's by the river and the trees are overhead, and I can just feel it like go down.
Yeah, I totally get it. Yep. So yeah, time in nature, walking around in nature, pets, having a pet, taking care of a dog or cat can help. I think
Okay.
it can be so satisfying that people end up being, I'm okay with not having a human girlfriend. You know, I have my dog, I have my cat. I don't really think that's perfect solution, but just saying it does work. Um,
It does work. My dog's wonderful. You know, like it's wonderful.
but you also have kids and all that, and
Yeah,
a
I have a lot
husband.
of
Yeah, you're not using it to take the place of all that. But you know, if you have a period of time when someone is running into a drought in terms of a relationship, all those things are super important. Doesn't it build oxytocin? And you know, oxytocin is very valuable. And another last thing that can build oxytocin is being a bit thirsty.
You mean actually physically thirsty?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah, like people walk around with these bottles and they're taking bottled water all the time. You're not really designed to drink water all the time. You're designed to drink water once or twice a day when you go to a stream and you drink your fill of water. You're not designed to be drinking all the time. You don't have to drink it all the time.
Right.
And actually, if you don't drink water all the time and you let yourself get thirsty, it actually can build oxytocin because it increases vasopressin. And vasopressin when you're thirsty, and when that's produced, so is oxytocin.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, so those are oxytocin building activities. You will be so glad that you are building oxytocin and having more pleasure and joy in your life and feeling like you have your cup runnething over.
So much more pleasure and joy, and so much more productive in a way that is so much more fun.
Yeah, there you go, more fun. And if you want more tips, what I'd like you to do is head over to dailymedicaldiscoveries.com. It'll ask you for email address. You can read some of the articles that we write. We have a whole team of health researchers. We have 18 people helping to write and research, getting the word out, stuff that you will not hear anywhere else. Make sure you put your email address in. Most of the stuff that we have in there, we can't even tell you here because it's so outside of the mainstream. They don't want us to tell you about it. So you can get it via email. dailymedicaldiscoveries.com. All right, we'll see you on the next.